opportunity to welcome you back to this other session of ours. Now today we are going to look at section B. Now when we look at section B has got two parts, that is part 1 and part 2. But today's major emphasis, we are going to mainly look at part 1. Now this part 1 has got two questions, that is item 4 and item 5. But please, in this section you only answer one item. You can either answer item 4 or you can answer item 5, but not both. Now here our major emphasis in section B part 1 is here we are going to look at only the environmental biology, or biology of the what? Biology of the environment. And it is one of the simplest section to pass. So here we are saying that a learner must appreciate the diversity of living things and the sustainability of the natural resources, because its major emphasis is about the biology of the what? The biology of the environment. Now here the topics you can look at, we have the topics you can focus on when you are preparing for this part. We have what we are calling ecology, we have interrelationship, we have food chains, food web, we have soil. Especially when talk about soil, what comes into your mind is soil fertility, soil exhaustion, soil pollution. Then we have also insects with the economic and ecological roles. We have also man and the natural environment. We have natural resources. We have pollution. But what you should not forget is that this part 1 of section B, the focus is on conservation biology. Now before you go to some of the likely tasks in this area, so you have to know that this part 1 of section B mainly focuses on conservation biology. And the scenarios, okay, so they are saying us that the types of scenarios, tasks and responses for part 1 section B, this part focuses on conservation biology, and they are saying candidates are assessed on the biology of the ecosystem in relation to conservation and sustainability or sustainable use of natural resources. Now they are saying that the likely scenarios in this section are about forests, wetlands, national parks. So you should also give attention to pollution of the air, water and the soil. Then they are saying that you should also know how human activities are connected to pollution and the environmental challenges, which are due to urbanization, road construction, industrialization, use of fertilizers, burning of charcoal, poaching and many others. Now when you look at section B part 1, I said earlier that this part has got two items, of which out of these two items a learner must answer one item. Now when you look at these items, so this item, they have also three. Actually, we are going to look at the basis of assessment with the tips for maximum scoring. Before you go to that, what you should put in mind is that here, when you are answering these questions, you have to be, first of all, you have to read, but when you are reading, you have to identify some of the important words in the scenario. Then after underlining, after underlining, what comes next is that you now begin identifying, because they will say identify the possible challenges in the scenario, or if not possible challenges, they can talk about problems, then how to address the problem, and lastly they can talk about the benefits of conserving the environment. That's all. So let's look at the basis of assessment with the tips for maximum what? Scoring. So if you want to maximally score in this item, because this item carries about 15 marks to 12 marks. So if you want to maximize it, now these are the bases of assessment with the tips for maximum scoring it. Now look at the bases. I told you you have to read through the what? The scenario. But as you are reading through the scenario, try to underline some of the important keywords in that scenario. Remember, this section has answers within the what? The scenario. Now, like they are telling us that the basis, we have problem or challenge identification. Now, this one is in the scenario. Now, the criteria and the tips, they are saying you have to identify the environmental challenges caused by the actions or activities in the scenario. That is one. That's why I was calling upon you to go on underlining those environmental challenges in the scenario, because they always give them in the what? In the scenario. Then the other one is like the challenges are normally hidden. Do not just copy and paste a statement from the scenario. So these people, when they are setting, they also try to use some technique of hiding these challenges in the what? In the scenario. Now it requires only a steady student who has been reading and underlining those important challenges or those problems in the scenario. But they have told us that some can be what? Can be hidden. E.g., they can talk about settling near forests in large numbers can cause deforestation. They can talk about poor waste disposal. Then the spread of what? Diseases, etc. Now these are the challenges which they will give you there in the what? In the scenario. Now a wise student, you go on using a pencil, you underline as you identify when you are reading. So let's go to the next step. Now after identifying those challenges, what comes next is explanation of the problem or what? Challenges. My dear friends, when we talk about explanation, now this part requires every problem you identify, you must explain it in order to get what? Maximum scores here. Now they are saying explain all the problems and the challenges identified. That for you, after identifying your problems and the challenges in the scenarios above, what you do, you now when you are answering, you have to do what? To explain. And what you should put in mind is that some of you have a problem of giving a definition, not the explanation. For example, somebody, they can bring up there in the scenario that there was massive cut down of people normally talk about deforestation in scenarios, and when they talk about deforestation, so instead of somebody explaining what deforestation causes to the environment, what effect, somebody goes on and gives now what? A definition. Somebody can say, for example, if we have talked about deforestation, someone can say deforestation is the cutting down of, or the massive cutting down of what? Trees. And you did not now explain that is what? Defining. Now you are giving a definition. So when you're explaining, you say that massive cutting down of trees now caused what? To increase in greenhouse effects like carbon dioxide, which lead now to what? Which lead to global warming. You have explained. Now another thing here, that when you are explaining, you should have to put these things in your statements, like because as a result of, due to. Then another thing, as we proceed, explain deforestation as a challenge, not its definition. This is what I've been talking about. Then the other basis is identifying the natural resources being affected. Now the criteria here, that you have to mention all the natural resources being affected, both living and non-living. Then what are some examples of the natural resources? Or so what are some examples of the living natural resources? Now that is part A. They will all say identify or explain the challenges that community is going through. Then the other part which comes is how to address. And when you are addressing, first of all, you have to address only the problems you have identified or only the challenges you have identified in the scenario. Now they are saying conservation sustainability solutions. Now, suggest solutions or conservation measures to the different challenges identified. So what you have identified in the other part is what you give the solutions. Then the other one is what is the solution to deforestation and the destruction of the vegetation. Now they are saying do not talk about a solution without stating the problem. So when you are giving the solution, please first give the problem. Then after identifying the problem, now you give a solution to that problem. I think I'm clear there. Now they are saying what are the solutions to deforestation, algal bloom, waterborne diseases, etc. Then now the last part here in this item is the benefits of the conservation, because I told you in this section B part 1 the biology which is there is all about biological what, it is about environmental conservation. Now lastly they will talk about what, the benefits. We have started with identifying the problems. Now we have to address or give solutions to the above problem. Then lastly they will talk about the benefits of conserving the environment. Here you are saying mention the benefits of the natural resources or life form conserved. Consider all the living natural resources first, then give biological answers first, not geography and end. For example, tourist attraction, foreign exchange, you should first of all begin with the biological benefits of conserving the environment, not geography and the end. Like some of you now, these ones are right, but let them come last after identifying the biological what, the biological conservations. Then from there we can go ahead and now they are saying, okay, allow me end here. So I'll do that part in the next episode. So allow me end here. I just wish you the best. Please subscribe and read. I sign out.